Hey guys, Drifter here. This is footage of me sneaking into an official Microsoft for Halo launch party in Seattle. I'm sneaking in because I was not invited to this event, and I'm not even there to capture content. Instead, my job was to sneak into the official launch party and film an unauthorized product promotion while nobody was looking. The goal was to make an unaffiliated product look like it was officially sponsored by Microsoft, and that's just how the night started. Unbeknownst to me, an entire van full of sorority girls would soon show up to the after party, and they were paid to be down for anything. So you might be asking how I ended up here and why I'm talking about it now. The latter is more straightforward, and it's because a lot of you requested more details about this story from my previous video on Xbox dying, and the former is a bit of a longer story that starts in November 2012. In eons long past, during Obama's first administration, I was sponsored by Gamma Labs. Not G Fuel, but properly Gamma Labs before they spun off the G Fuel brand and went really hard on gamers. You may remember they were originally a workout supplement with creatine designed to help you gain muscle and stuff like that. And while I love Gamma Labs and while they have supported me and paid me well over the years, their company is very, very, very fly-by-night, very cash-heavy, very over-leveraged, very fast and loose with the rules. For example, the year prior, or maybe even just prior to this, I went to PAX East and Gamma Labs wanted to do a G Fuel giveaway on the show floor. The only problem is they're not a sponsor of the show and they could not get authorization to do product giveaways. So what we did instead is they showed up with about 80 pounds of packets in this gigantic duffel bag, almost as big as my upper body, and they called in favors from me and FaZe Temper because we were both sponsored and I guess we both owed, and me and FaZe Temper got on social media, tweeted out that we were doing a G Fuel giveaway at XYZ location at PAX, cleared out the whole bag to like 100, maybe even a couple of hundred crazy fans, like super quick, took a whole bunch of photos super quick, and then deleted everything off of social media and submitted our photos to Gamma Labs so that they could pretend to be doing a real giveaway at PAX. This story has a similar kind of vibe to it. I was contracted by them to do a Halo 4 launch party event at Fry's in Arlington, Texas, which was really convenient for me because I had family living in Arlington. So I traveled from Mississippi over here to Texas to visit family, and I was going to do this easy peasy Fry's in Arlington. Well, something that's still not privy to me happened, and the event at Fry's got canceled. So they moved it to a Fry's in Seattle. I don't know whose friend with the friend secret handshake deal this was, but it seemed like it was bouncing around from manager to manager. And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to book my flight from Seattle. I'll spend a little time with my family in Dallas, then I'll fly out the next day, and I'll get to see Seattle for the first time. I'm a bumpkin. I'm from Mississippi. I almost never get out. So just going to a big city is like a huge reward for me. Well, I was supposed to fly out at 8 a.m., but my flight got delayed by about 8+ hours, I think it was. I remember sitting in the Dallas airport for almost an entire day, and in the area where I was sitting, there was one other person about my age who looked very much so like a gamer, but I didn't want to come up and start a random chat with a stranger. Well, after 8 hours of waiting in the airport, we finally get seated on our plane, and I get seated right next to MLG Neighbor, who you may remember as a professional Halo player, and he was one of several influencers that were invited to this event. I got to talk to him over the entire 4-hour flight to Seattle. We kind of became fast friends. Seemed like a great guy. Everything's going good. When we land in Seattle, text messages roll in on our phone that the Fry's event in Seattle has also been canceled, that apparently corporate Maine did not approve of this giveaway or this event, and it was pretty much being shut down across the country. But I'm already here in Seattle. Well, the guy running the event for Gamma Labs, or G Fuel at the time, I want to say his name was David. He was a slightly shorter blonde guy, glasses much like this. He was in his very early 40s and had this book written about nerd culture in Los Angeles and how you got to be zen with the environment and roll with the punches. Kind of a very self-aggrandizing thing to make himself look really big. But he had hookups, okay? The guy running the event, I'll call him David, I don't remember if that's his name, he said, don't worry, we got something better than Fry's. We're going to the official Halo 4 launch party event at the Microsoft store in Bellevue, where we're going to have the voice actress for Katana. We're going to have Master Chief cosplayers. We're going to have a big warthog. It's going to be a huge event, and you guys are all invited. So we take a little bit of time in Seattle to clean up, get presentable, and head out to the Halo 4 launch party. It starts off going really well. Outside, there's a life-size warthog, which is sick. There's lots of cosplayers to hang out with. they're professional Master Chief cosplayers, and I got to meet Haughty McBloggy, which some of you may remember was previously the spokesperson and ran the Halo blog for Bungie. She actually was the one who had saved my career. I made this little video called How Not to Defuse the Bomb, which I have some footage of here, and we can link down there below. This very early 2011, 2012 kind of juvenile humor, and it was supposed to be my last ever YouTube video, and I was going to quit, but Haughty McBloggy featured it on her insanely popular blog and got me a ridiculous amount of views, and it got me a machinima contract. And then my first machinima video, which was The Lighthouse, a horror one, she also featured and got me a ton of views, and ultimately gave me the career that I have now. So I just had to meet Haughty McBloggy. I had to say hello, thank her for saving my entire gaming career by promoting some of my earlier works and giving me kind of like a foothold in this industry. So we hang out with her and chat for a bit, take a bunch of pictures, do a bunch of cool stuff, and then I find out we are not actually invited to the Halo 4 launch party. No, no, no. Rather, the guy running this event is friends with somebody at the store at the event, and they do like that road trip secret handshake thing, greet each other, and invite us right on in there. As it turns out, the store was indeed expecting gaming influencers to show up, and there were Halo pros supposed to be there, but different ones than our group, of course. I believe I was also there with MLG Bravo, Andy Dudinsky, if I remember correctly, but there were like a couple of other guys that I don't remember. It's like a group of about 5. But we're not supposed to be there. So our Gamma Labs handler lies to the Microsoft store and tells them, yes, we are the official Microsoft influencers. When we get in, we immediately realize we're not supposed to be there, and it's sponsored by Mountain Dew. And our handler tells us, look, this is just part of the deal, part of the contract. You're going to pretend to be the influencers. You're going to do their events. And when nobody's looking, we're going to break out these secret G Fuel tubs and logos, and we're going to take pictures and video just real fast. We're going to get our promo footage and get out of here. It ended up being like 2 or 3 hours because for whatever reason, our group ended up doing all the things that the actual paid influencers were supposed to do. And in between takes, we would have somebody distract the store manager while the rest of us would go and pose with our G Fuels next to Master Chief in the Halo launch party and get our little photos and all that kind of stuff. Very, we'll say unethical and not terribly different than what happened at PAX, but it was kind of fun in a way to kind of fly in under the radar and just truly BS your way into an invite-only event. Well, this gets weirder because the event required an after-party mature stream, so we went back to MLG Neighbor's house, which apparently, this was shocking to me. His parents had this huge house in Seattle, and they just left it to him and went to move somewhere else. So he had this huge house in Seattle that was available for everybody, and we were supposed to stream Halo 4 with a launch party on that night, and it was supposed to be a very mature stream because this was before Gamma Labs and G Fuel split, before they started getting a little family friendly. They were really aiming for like, you know, later teens, guys in their early 20s, that kind of thing. And part of this requirement was in the stream, we're supposed to be drinking G Fuel and vodka. Yes, mixing very high caffeine energy drinks and vodka because that's what the sponsor required of us. Everybody else is pretty sloshed, and I don't know, maybe I'm just not vibing with the crew or whatever at this point. I didn't even know at the time that was a deadly combination. I was just kind of doing what I was told. But it was my job to mix 4 of these like football field giant gallon, like 8-gallon vat containers of vodka and lemon lime G Fuel. So I'm kind of sitting there mixing all of that, and in the middle of me doing my great value mixology, a whole Sprinter van full of sorority girls, I would say about 8 of them, just kind of show up out of nowhere at MLG Neighbor's house. The guy running the event, David, says, you know, he had a personal hookup at the sorority. I don't know how a 42-year-old has a hookup at a sorority with girls that are probably aged 18 to 20, but he apparently did. And he also apparently paid the sorority some amount of money to get them out for the night to be our entertainment. I don't know what kind of instructions they were given, but when they showed up, they were immediately flirty with all of the guys, and they were trying to be really sexy and or sexual around the Halo stuff and props that we had. I assume because that's what they're paid to do. They were kind of like paid groupies in a way to make us look like a bunch of alpha chads that had a girl on each shoulder. I was recently married. I got married like 6 months before. I think Bravo was engaged. I think not all, maybe one of the other guys had a girlfriend, but several did not. So I just kind of disengaged from this because it started feeling very inappropriate. I went to the kitchen and went back to mixing my deadly vodka G Fuel mixture drinks. And of all the girls, of course, I end up chatting with the nerdy one. I think that nerds just have this magnetic attraction to each other, and she noticed me. We're in there, we're talking about a lot of science and stuff. You know, she's getting like a real degree. And it's starting to get awkward because I realize in my attempt to be friendly with this woman, I am inadvertently flirting with her. So I have to change the subject really quickly and talk about my recent wedding and kind of shut down all of the shenanigans that are happening here. And then eventually we get to the point, the mixes are mixed, the girls are introduced, and we go back and we stream on MLG Neighbor's account with like a sexy Halo watch party, which is basically him just trying to navigate the menus on launch night while the servers are locked out, with us kind of bumbling around in the background, and between 1 and 3 girls kind of leaning over his shoulder, you know, hands down the chest, give him a hug. This is so good, that's so hot. We had girls kind of like licking like the side of the Halo CD and case and like rubbing it on themselves, and kind of their, I think, general instructions were to be sexy, and all they've got is a couple of pasty gamer boys that are mostly partnered off and some Halo boxes. So they're just like rubbing the Halo boxes on themselves in the back of this Twitch stream, trying to make it as sexy as possible. And you would think that this would be something really awesome and all the influencers would be in on it, but it was kind of the opposite. Everybody there had been up for like 18 plus hours already, long flight, long day filming, public appearance events. You know, we're sneaking in and out of places that we're not supposed to be into. Total chaos. So all the influencers were very tired, and they kicked out the sorority girls the very moment the stream ended. It was like, stream is over, girls out, goodbye. Just gave them the boot, sent them home. The guy organizing the show was kind of upset. He had intended for them to stay, but we were all kind of donezo. So girls are gone. Evening continues, and all the guys break out a bong, and I think everybody except for me starts smoking weed. I was not a smoker at the time. I knew what weed was, but that wasn't exactly my jam. After about an hour of taking bong rip after bong rip after bong rip, I'm just sitting there, and one of the Halo pros just says, "Man, do you know what we could really use right now?" It's like, "What, bro?" "Pussy. We need some pussy." And all 5 guys are like, "Yeah, that's what we need. Can we get the girls back?" And the guy who organized the event is like, "No, you sent all the girls home. You can't just call them back to be horny for you now." And in all the conversations we had, it genuinely seemed like that sleeping with the guys, if requested, was on the menu for however this weird handshake deal between a 42-year-old man and a sorority worked out. And then all the guys, now completely stoned, were complaining that the girls can't just come back. This kind of goes on all night. These are normal people, so they keep their house at like 65 degrees. For those of you that know me and my health problems, that's really, really tough for me. Between the weed and the chaos and the low temperature and the no blankets and whatnot, I could not sleep. I was up all night, well into the 24-hour zone, and I was starting to do really bad. So I asked the guy organizing the trip, who is the partner manager of some kind, to give me a ride to a nearby hotel so I can get 5 or 6 hours of sleep before my flight and not feel like death. The dude didn't want to do it. He made a big stink about it. "Just sleep in. You'll be fine. It's not that cold. It's not that bad. Here's a blanket. Just deal with it." And I'm like, "No, dude, I need real sleep. I need a hotel. You know, you're with Gamma Labs. It's your job to take care of the celebrities or influencers or whatever. Get me to a hotel, any hotel." Reluctantly, he agrees. And it was one of the most awkward rides of my life, because this guy basically kind of laid into me about not going with the flow and not being very zen and not being very chill, and just, you know, you gotta stay up with the owls and then rise with the eagles and don't be so sleepy, and these kind of stupid phrases. And I just kept telling him that I live in the real world and I need sleep. And in our conversations where this really went downhill, he asked me a little bit about where I'm from, because it was obvious I'm a bumpkin. I'm from Mississippi. I have a southern accent. And I told him about how, you know, me and my dad made like $4,800 a year and did a little bit of subsistence fishing and things like that. Dude could not believe it. He said it is not possible to earn as little as $4,800 a year. You cannot survive on that. And I kept telling him, like, I can show you the tax returns. I did them myself, or I did them for my dad, which I guess is the same as doing them yourself. But like, it was real. You know, I grew up really, really poor. And basically the rest of the 30-minute drive to the hotel was him grilling me on how it was impossible to be that poor. Again, coming from a rich guy who lived in LA for most of his life, ostensibly, like, fully could not understand what Southern poverty living was like. And I'm really trying not to have this conversation. I'm trying to treat this like an Uber ride and just go to bed. Dude just keeps hammering me over and over, finally drops me off, tells me to look up a copy of his book to learn how to be more zen with the challenges that life presents me. And I'm like, whatever the hell. I go back, I get my sleep, get on my flight, go home, and got paid. G Fuel paid me for this event. So the payment definitely happened. I did not cheat on my partner, nor did I intend to. I shut all that down very early. I did not do any drugs, but I absolutely did sneak into a Microsoft event that I was not invited to, pretended to be part of a different group of influencers, and did an illegal product shoot because G Fuel was a direct competitor for Mountain Dew, and they would have been very, very, very mad about that. But that's how that night went, and it was very, very strange. One of many strange events that happened around Gamma Labs. It was a fun company. Like, the Gamma team always knew where the party was, but they weren't always exactly on the square. There was always an element of sketchiness dealing with old school G Fuel influencers. So, fun times. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. And if you want to hear more stories, by all means, put it down there in the description. And I'll continue to talk about influencer events from statute of limitations long past, shenanigans that happened in pretty much whatever. You could do Call of Duty, Halo, various companies, just kind of whatever floats your goat. I have a bunch of fun stories to tell. Please let me know what you think. Drifter out. Now that the video's wrapped, I wanted to complain about something on the back end that happened in the production of this video. So the how not to disarm the bomb video that I wanted to talk to Haughty McBloggy about originally got a copyright strike because, as a spoiler for something that's 15 years old, it had the Rickroll song in it from Rick Astley, and there was a time where you were getting striked for that. So I got a copyright claim, and I made that video private a very long time ago. Recently, I thought in recording this that I would make that and several other old videos public again so that you could all click through them down there in the description and have some more content to enjoy. So I took this old video from private to public, and what YouTube heard is, hey, I'm gonna republish this 15-year-old video to your subscribers as if it is new. And it just totally threw a bone into my entire algorithm. Like, of course it underperformed. I got like an 8 out of 10, low click-through rate. Comments were confused. People showed up, why is there already 90,000 views on a video that just came out? Are you doing parodies of old machinima stuff? I can't believe how powerfully dumb YouTube can be in certain situations. And that's a top tier dumb right there. That just drives me crazy. So I managed to tank my channel a little bit just by making some old content public again. And I got to find out how not to make that mistake in the future so that our channel doesn't end up in the shadow realm here.